Israel. So MCVKB, can you please continue your story?
Okay. Now, when we tried to make the first move to cross to Israel, by the time we got to the border crossing, there was an exchange of fire between the Egyptian police and the I would say the militants, the smugglers. So because the
Wait, wait.
moment
The Egyptian
the
police at the
yeah
border
yeah
exchanged fires with the people smuggling you guys.
yeah because these guys are like they don't see eye to eye, and the moment the Egyptian police notice anybody in that border,
Mhm.
they will open fire.
Fire.
So when they do that, in order for there to be less casualty, these guys need to open fire too,
Okay.
thereby making them to at least pull back with their firing and try to take cover and all this stuff.
Okay.
Then we managed to run back.
And
And
while they are exchanging fire, you guys are still in the back of the.
yeah, no, the first time we actually came out because we thought, according to them, they thought the border was free.
Okay.
So when we approached the border, that's when the fire started. And then we had to run back. So one or two people were shot and they didn't go back with us.
So they died
They
on the.
died right there. So we went back and we ran back. So that was the first attempt.
Which year was this?
That was 2009. Okay. So when we went back and we need to re-strategize according to the guys, and they came up with a different plan.
Mhm.
And this plan was like, okay, look like the border is too risky and too dangerous now, so we had to go through the mountains.
Wow.
So we literally had to now prepare ourselves for the journey because it took us like 3 days walking and climbing mountains. So we had to go and make a big turn. We walk up to the section of that shows Saudi Arabia, and we walk, we climb the mountains, and then the night before we get tired, and then we rest.
And you had food with you?
We actually didn't have a food. We only had water and milk, So we ran out of food. So we were just surviving by just the little water that was left with us and milk, and everybody had to be very cautious with it. So the first night passed, and even in those mountains that we were going through, it wasn't also all safe because there was security cameras everywhere, and the Israeli planes were flying all the time, checking on those. So, but as God may have it, we continued the journey the next day, and we got to a nightfall.
Aside from those two people that died while the fires were being exchanged, did other people die while you were crossing the mountain or something, casualty, injury?
For the few of us that continued on this journey, other people, the thing is, in the days that it's not just controlled by one man. We
Okay.
have series of agents that people belong to different
Okay.
agencies. You understand? So we were hearing stories of what was happening in the other camp,
Mm.
the people that died in that camp, and the people that got stuck, the people that were arrested in the border, and all this stuff. So, see, some situation will occur where you manage to cross, but you should pray for you to at least cross to the Israel side.
Mm.
Because once you are in the Israel side, you are safe. Because nobody will shoot you on the Israel side.
Maximum they will arrest
They
you.
will just arrest you and take you to the camp and all this stuff. So their aim was always to just push us to the Israel side because they know once we are there, we are safe. And no Egyptian police will shoot you on the Israel side because you're already out of their border. So that was always but in the process, before that gets to happen, a lot of people always lost their life, you know. But in my camp, it was just those two people.
Mm.
And then the nine of us that was left continued with the journey. And we journeyed and we got to Israel finally on the night of the third day, that the second day, the night. So when we arrived, so they already pre-arranged some drivers that would pick us up
Okay.
from when we are arriving down from the mountains. So that was how we got down and they pick us up after all these days. And They brought us to Beersheba, and then from Beersheba we found ourselves in Tel Aviv.
Wow.
So that was the journey. It wasn't easy. It was the most crazy, the most difficult 1 month of my life. And I'm just trying to keep it a little bit light
Mhm.
so that,
Because of censorship, yeah.
exactly, and people also need to understand that sometimes people survive on this trip. Even we know about lots of people that didn't make out of that desert, even some that are stuck, you know. So desert is not a place that you risk your life sometimes. If I had a clue what was waiting for me, I don't think maybe I would have taken that journey because I would have preferred to stay back and try to hustle more. But all the same, when you find yourself in that situation and you
Because
go and you
the
say,
question I wanted to ask you is, what made you after going through all this? What made you not to give up? Is it because you couldn't go back? The only way you had to go was forward?
now, number one
Because some
is,
people would like say, okay, I'm not going anymore. Like agents,
uh,
take me back.
yeah, the thing is, one, I was determined, okay, and I've always been on the streets most of my life. So I literally raised myself as a man. Like I told you, my dad died at a very early age, and my mom has to do her best. So I think the last time I slept in the same room with my mom was after my JS3 exam in
Mhm.
1997. So I was always hustling on my own and trying to see how I can survive and all this stuff. So that has made me to be very tough when it comes to things like that. So when I saw it, I know this is it's either you survive or you die. There's no going back. And when you get to that point, there's no going back. It's either you continue or that's it. So you can't smuggle your way back to Egypt. So you can't go back.
Mm.
It's either you're stuck in that desert or you have to survive or you die. There's no going back. So that's how the journey is. So when you get in that place, you have to do everything you can to survive and do everything you can to move forward. So God saw us through, you know. So people need to be very, very aware of these scenarios before you give
MC,
your strength.
MC, I can tell you that this story, we've heard stories like this. We've watched documentaries from BBC about people who are trying to survive the desert because they're migrating from Africa to some other place in Europe. I'm not even going to talk about those who die in the sea trying to cross to Spain. Yours is touching and inspiring. What can you tell people who are watching us right now? What advice can you give to people who want to japa, maybe through the road, through the sea? I know you must have something to, based on your experience.
Okay. I know that our country, Nigeria, it's a very, very difficult place right now. And everybody want to leave the country by all means. But please, before you take this risk, you need to know what is involved. If you have a way to travel the normal way, please take that route. Because it's not everybody that went on that journey that survived. Some people didn't make it out alive. And I know, like I told you, those two guys that dropped dead in the
Mhm.
border, their parents may be thinking that they are somewhere in Europe, they
Yeah.
have not been able to contact them. But that's how their life went. This is the one
And
that I
because
witnessed.
nobody knows them to
Nobody,
report back to the parents.
this is, the ones that I witnessed. There's a lot of stories like that in the desert. The ones that we know about, the ones we hear from other camps and all
Mhm.
this stuff. So it's a very deadly and dangerous route to take. If you can try to find that extra to be able to embark and follow the right route, that would be best. But if you find yourself, there's a difference between something you know
Mhm.
and something you don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't know. I wasn't given the full details. So when I find myself there, I had to pray to God to see me through. But if you know and you are ready to take this risk, you should know that that journey you are going to, you may not make it out alive. You should know that. So you should prepare your mind. But if you don't also know and you find yourself there, you don't need to give up. You need to fight and survive. So I will advise anybody out there if they tell you take this route. Now who they are alive, now they make money.
Exactly.
Now who they are alive, now they make money. Sometimes it's not really worth the risk, especially when you already know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel like God is always with a lot of people that don't have the idea and the knowledge. But those that know, most of
Mm-hmm.
the time, it's not always favorable to them
Mm-hmm.
because, like, and you decide to venture as well. So that our advice, if you can get that extra money to go the right way, do it.
Thank you very much, MC Vicky B. We're going to take a quick break and come back for the final part of the show. Stay
Thank
tuned.
you.